All right, hello, and I would like to go ahead and welcome our guest speaker, Lisa. Would you go and introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Lisa. Um, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, I'm glad to have you on the show. So can you go ahead and give me a little background about yourself and kind of how you came into the old you into the new you?
Sure. The old me was a terrified little girl. Was someone who was always trying to please others, always trying to do the right thing. Um, Came from a family of a lot of drinking, a lot of drugging, um, a lot of abandonment. To be honest.
Understandable.
Things that I'm learning about myself now. But you know, they did the best they could at the
Sure,
time,
sure.
and so I grew up in kind of a broken home and just did the best I could with what I had, and a lot of that was just isolating myself and learning how to entertain myself and do things on my own. I was an only child um, for a while. Um, and then my dad had another child with his wife, and then my mom got remarried and he had two sons. So I instantly became this sister after being an only child for many years. And that was kind of an adjustment. Looking back, I realized how selfish and self-centered I was even then as a child, and it just kind of it just looking back, it's like life was just hard. Life was just difficult for me. I always felt like I never fit in. I felt like I was always being judged. I was always worried about what people thought, and it just seemed hard. Life just seemed hard. Um, my dad drank a lot. Um, wasn't there for me a lot in my childhood. Um, and I swore that I would not be that person.
Right.
No. Um, and I wasn't for a long time. I think I had my first drink at 17, and honestly, to this day, I still remember how it felt. I
Right.
remember taking that drink and just being like, and I felt relief. And I didn't understand it at the time, but I
Right.
felt relief. I felt like I could fit in. I was funny. People paid attention to me. Um, I just felt relaxed. And I pretty much drank alcoholically from the get go. Um, and I didn't drink a lot or very often. Let me say that I didn't drink very often. Um, but when I did drink, I drank a lot. And so, fast forward a few years, I met my husband when I was 19, just turned 20, or just getting ready to turn 20. And he asked me to marry him 4 weeks after we were together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. That's a total alcoholic move.
Absolutely.
And I said, sure, why not?
Let's do this.
So my mom said, well, you need to at least wait a year. Okay, no problem. You know, I was just so, I was so relieved that somebody loved me enough to want to marry me,
Sure.
you know, and that was the basis of it. Oh my God, he loves me. He wants to marry me. I'm, I can't let this go, you know.
Right.
Um, and it was kind of one of those things where ignorance was bliss for a while, and I just thought this is just how it's going to be. Our relationship was rocky from the beginning. And he met me when he was drunk. So,
Right. You have
that's,
to be the one.
yeah, of course, I'd be the one, right? Um, and I had been drinking all through college and partying and doing inappropriate things with inappropriate people, and just literally just trying to find myself. Like I never knew who I was. I never understood what my purpose was or what I was supposed to be doing. And I just kind of float through life. Right. When I turned 18, I moved away from home, which home is St. Louis, and I moved up to Kansas, and I haven't been back since.
Right.
And, that's, it's like that life was just hard and I couldn't deal with it. And so it was easier just to run away from it and create a new life somewhere else. So that's what I did. Got married. We drank a lot. Um, I always drank to the extent of passing out, blacking out. We fought a lot when we were drinking, mainly me, um, because I could say all those things that I wanted to say, all those things that I was keeping down deep in me when I was sober, because I knew I had to live this certain way. I had to portray this certain image of this married life, and that I was happy and everything was good. Um, and it wasn't, right. But I'm bullheaded like that. And I'm not going to let anybody prove me wrong. So damn it, I'm going to stay married, even though everybody said you're too young. This isn't going to work. Oh yeah, watch it work. Just to spite,
I'll
right?
show you.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Works every time, I
I'm
swear.
miserable, but God dang it, I'll show you that I'm not getting divorced.
Absolutely.
And so, I drank a lot. He drank a lot at the time. I drank a lot. We got pregnant. I did not, I stopped drinking. And that was kind of a joke amongst us, was that the only time I was sober was when I was pregnant for 9 months. All
Right.
right. And I was pissy those 9 months, man. Oh, I was pissy. And then, I had my baby. And of course, I'm working a full-time job. We put myself through school, working a full-time job, have a career, married, have a kid. And then we end up pregnant again. And that one wasn't planned. And but I'm so thankful that I had her. She is my rock. All my kids are amazing, but her and I have a special relationship. But you know, I got to be 5 or 6 months pregnant, and I was starting to crave a drink because I had stopped drinking again. And I thought, well, the doctor said one beer wouldn't hurt,
Right.
so I would drink that one beer, right, or that one drink. I chalked a beer equivalent to a drink.
Yeah.
Or I'd have a sip of something or a glass of wine or something like that. Um,
Were
and it
you
was,
able to just stop at that point and just
I,
have
wa-
that?
I was able to stop at that point. Um, and then a few years later, I got pregnant again, and that one I drank earlier on, but I didn't drink to the extent that I was drinking when I wasn't pregnant.
Right.
Does that make sense? So I kind of was still drinking, but not like alcoholically, I guess. Um, and, um, God has a amazing way to watch out for us alcoholics, right?
Absolutely.
And all of my kids were born absolutely fine. There was no fetal alcohol syndrome. There was no damage done or anything like that. And I'm so thankful for that now, because I was so selfish and self-centered. I was just worried about me. All right. I
And
wasn't worried about the living person inside of me.
how to deal with all the emotions or not deal with them, actually.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And now, mind you, at this point, I didn't understand why I was drinking so much. It was just something to do. It's what we did. It's what I grew up with.
It's
I,
normal.
yeah, it's normal. I didn't think I had a problem. I mean, my family, we drank at weddings, we drank at funerals, we drank at baptisms, we drank at birthday parties. We just drank all the time. And I remember having my first kid's 1 year birthday. I'll never forget this. And I had alcohol there, and my in-laws were like, and I'm like, why are they judging me so much? Isn't this normal? Doesn't everybody have alcohol at a 1-year-old's birthday? Like,
Right.
why is that abnormal, you know? Um, but yeah, so anyway, about before my third child was born. No. Yeah, before my third child was born, one of my stepbrothers was killed in a car accident. And he was one that I was very close to. Um, and it affected me drastically. I did notice that my drinking picked up a lot more. I
Sure.
was very angry. Um, I was resentful. Some things had happened between my older stepbrother and me, and my older stepbrother and his brother, um, that I was very resentful for.
Right.
And I felt he was the cause of the death of my brother. And my drinking really kind of took off from there. And I just didn't care anymore. Um, I remember, fast forwarding a little bit, my kids are growing up and I'm there, right? Like I'm PTO mom. I'm PTO president for like 5 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm I'm making all the invitations, I'm that mom that does everything, hand makes everything and makes sure my kids have everything they want. I'm drinking while I'm doing it, but I'm making sure they have everything. They all played competitive sports. I, was at every practice I could go to, every game I could go to with a drink in my hand, but I was there.
Right.
Um, so that was kind of my justification for not thinking I was an alcoholic because I was functioning, right? I had a career, I had a family, I was married, I had a house, my kids were doing fine,
Right.
I thought, right? Um, for a while, I was just a weekend warrior. I would just drink, from Friday evening after I got off work and try to sober up by Sunday night so that I could work Monday. Um, my kids kind of caught on that, oh, mom's drinking, she'll let us do whatever because she doesn't want us to bother her. And so they would be like, Mom, can I go spend the night? I'm like, just go, do whatever. Just, this is my time. Leave me alone. I mean, gosh, looking back at that, I'm number one mom, right? Yeah, leave me alone. Go away. Just let me drink. All
That's
right.
what alcoholism does, though. It wants to isolate you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but my kids took advantage of that. And I'm not mad at them for doing that. Not mad at them at all for doing that. They were doing the best they could do in that situation. And at least if they were at somebody else's house, I knew they were being taken care of.
Right.
So drinking got worse. Then toward the end of my drinking, I mean, we would fight. There was lots of fights, lots of physical fights between my husband and I, and it was bad. It was bad for a while. And um, about 8 years ago, I came home. I think it was a Wednesday night, because at this point I'm drinking now during the week, right? And my drinking, I have rules for drinking, right? My rules are I don't drink before 9 a.m. I don't drink alone.
Right.
Those are my rules. So after school, I was a para at the time, and after school I would go down the hall and I'd be like, "Hey, you want to go get chips and salsa?" Because chips and salsa also meant margaritas,
Right.
which eventually meant tequila, which eventually meant the bar across the way. So
Right.
they started, right? Innocent. Oh yeah, yeah, let's go. I was like, all right, cool, let's go. Hey, you want to get a drink while we're here? Yeah, sure. Okay. Hey, you want some extra Patron in it? I mean, literally, I was like a drug dealer. Like I
Yeah.
was pushing this stuff, right? I'm like, come on, you can have some of this. You can, and we'd end up over there. Well, one night I was drinking at the Mexican restaurant, and I had to get a ride home from one of the guys that worked there because my husband left me, and I couldn't drive. I couldn't walk. I didn't have a car or anything. So he drops me off, and he takes off, and my husband comes out and is yelling at me like normal, and I just lay into him, right? I just lay into him. I start right hooking him. I start, I'm letting out every aggression I've had built up for, at this point, 20 something years.
Right.
Um, and I realize I'm a mess. I'm an absolute mess. I go into my bathroom and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm looking at myself in the mirror going, I can't do this anymore. And I take 2 bottles of pills and I slice my wrist the length of my arm. And I go out on the front porch and I sit there. And as I'm starting to fade out, my best friend comes and starts screaming. And I remember them calling 911. And I remember the officer pounding on my chest. It was a friend of mine pounding on my chest to stay awake. And then I don't remember anything else.
Wow.
I ended up in ICU. I woke up, I don't know how many days later, but I woke up and I had tubes coming out of everywhere. And um, my husband came and he said that he wasn't allowed to come to the hospital that night because I had beaten him so bad I would have got a domestic violence charge.
Man.
It's probably one of the worst nights of my life. And not once did I blame that on my drinking.
Of course not.
Not once, right? So I'm recovering from this. I'm seeing psychiatric people and therapists and all this stuff, and I'm still drinking, and I'm saying what the therapists want to hear because I've been in therapy since I was 13,
Right.
right? And I know what they want to hear. Do you drink? Yeah, a little bit. Well, how much do you drink? Oh, 1 or 2,
Yeah.
a night, that's about it, totally lying, not being honest, manipulating, conniving. Um, and then came the infamous night, September 15th, 2017. We were at the bar. Next thing I know, my husband had left me, but I still had my Jeep. And I don't know what time it was. It was after 10, but the bar wasn't closed yet. So it was somewhere between 10 and 2.
Yeah.
So, um, and I decided I needed to go home. So I got in the Jeep, and it was in a small town. And I remember driving and thinking, oh man, I got to pee. I'm not going to make it home. And this is kind of a funny part of the story. But I remember thinking, okay, I got to pee. I'm not going to make it home. So I pull over this gas station. And here's the irony of this. Here's or I should say not the irony, but the insanity of, sorry, the insanity of the alcoholism is that I knew I was so drunk that I could not walk into a gas station to go pee, right? But I was
Yeah.
okay to drive. That's how I rationalized. I was like, I can't go inside that gas station. I'm too drunk. They're going to know that I'm drunk. I'm too drunk. I'll fall over. So I'm just going to pee out behind the back of the gas station, like any good redneck girl would do, right?
Right.
Out in the country, and it'll be fine, and I'll just be on my way. So I had flip flops on, and I think I had jeans and a tank top, and I remember throwing my gear shift into park, not knowing that there was a penny in my gear shift,
Oh no.
and it went to reverse. And I get out, and the Jeep starts rolling, and I can't figure out what's happening, but I fall down. The Jeep tire runs over my foot long ways and ends up down at the other end of the gas station back in the back. And I
Oh
remember,
man.
what the fuck just happened? Why is my Jeep all the way down there, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to cuss.
Right.
What just happened?
You're all right.
All the way down there. And I go to get up and I promptly fall down. And I'm like, what is wrong with my foot? And I see some blood, but I don't feel a thing. Okay. I don't
Of
feel
course not.
I don't feel anything. So I crawl on my hands and knees down to get my Jeep, find my cell phone, call my husband. I said, I think I need you to come get me. Something's wrong. He's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm at the Quick. He's like, okay. So I don't remember this, this is what he told me, but between the time I called him and he got there, I somehow must have gotten in my car, drove it up to the edge of the gas station building and drove it into, but not, I didn't crash through. I just like drove up to the wall and had my head on the steering wheel and my foot on the brake. It was still in drive. And that's how he found me. Well, still didn't know what had happened with me, but I couldn't walk. So he carried me, took me to the ER, and come to find out, I blew my heel open.
By
The,
running yourself over.
the tire popped my foot like a balloon,
Oh
blew my
man.
heel open, broke my ankle. They didn't even sedate me. I just rolled over and they flushed out all the gravel and everything. I just passed out and I had 44 sutures in my heel. I had a wrap from my toes to my knee, a cast, and I wasn't in pain till the next day.
Right.
And I remember before they did all that, my husband standing in the ER room with me, just shaking his head. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going to stop drinking. I can't do this anymore. That was the first time that I was like serious about it, right?
That
And he
there's a
whatever, and he just walked away. And I was like, that asshole, how can he do me? I'm serious this time, right? I'm serious. And so the next day, I'm on pain meds now, right? So, but I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
But I'm in so much pain, I don't even want to drink right now. And so that's pretty much what got me through. My last drink was that night. And he said, you either stop drinking or you're out.
Right.
And I thought, oh shit, well, maybe I'll just stop for a little bit, get the heat off of me, right?
Don't forget about
They'll
everything.
forget about it and then we'll go out drinking and everything will be fine. That was my plan, my initial plan, right?
How'd that work out?
Worked out pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I'm coming up on 7 years, September 16th.
Congratulations.
Thank
So
you. I didn't think it would work, but it worked out to my benefit. I I'll tell you what though, man. I wanted to know what was wrong with me. Why did
right.
that drink? Why was I craving that so much? What was wrong with me? I probably bought every self-help book imaginable and read, still not contributing it to alcoholism.
Right.
There's something wrong with my brain. There's something wrong with me that I need a drink, that I need to do this, that I don't feel normal. Why don't I feel normal? Why can't I just feel like a knot, like a balled up knot, right? And I'm miserable, but I'm doing again what everybody wants me to do, which is not drink. You know, my parents were even calling me alcoholic, before I stopped. And I remember one night I was like, oh, I'll show you alcoholic. I bought me a big old bottle of grape vodka, some Red Bull, and I drank the whole thing. And I was like, that's alcoholic. Okay. Okay. Never mind you. That's what I was doing normally. But,
A
whatever.
alcoholic wouldn't mix anything in with it. They just drink it straight.
Exactly. So, alcoholic yet. And it was after 9 and I wasn't drinking by myself. So,
Absolutely.
but anyway, so that was yeah, that was just kind of how it started. And I got this amazing recovery system with me, a recovery community that really helped me get through and understand that it was alcohol. I mean, alcohol wasn't the problem. Alcohol was my solution to all my problems, right? life was so hard for me. And as it is, I'm not saying that I'm special or unique, but it is for most alcoholics, right? We are very much in our head all the time. We're always comparing and worrying about what people think about us, and just everything. And so I come to find out that I'm not alone, right? That I'm not alone, and I have this group, this community of people that understand me and can help me through this process.
Right.
And I think the first time that I was amongst like people was the first time I truly felt relief and being understood.
Right.
And you know, that's been that in itself has been a journey. Just learning to accept me for who I am and understand that yes, I did do a lot of things, but it wasn't completely my fault that I have a disease, you know,
Sure.
that a disease of perception, a disease of thinking sometimes, and I need like-minded people around me to get me through this stuff. Because people that don't have this disease don't have these types of struggles, I don't think. I think that they're okay with people not liking them. They're okay with, you know, just different things that we're not okay with. And it's just it's like I was reborn in a way,
Absolutely.
and I have this whole new life. Now mind you, I was about 5 years sober when a lot of stuff happened in my life that changed. Um, I walked away from a marriage of 28 years. I walked away from my house of 22 years, and I just picked up and moved on because as I got sober and as I got to understand myself, and I'm not completely there yet. There's a lot of work to be done on me, but I realize what my worth is,
Right.
and I realize what I will allow and not allow. And my sobriety finally gave me the courage to stand up and do what I needed to do a long time ago, but was too scared to do it.
Right.
Um, and it was just almost like it was just like one thing after another happened, and it all happened in succession the way it should have happened to get me to where I'm at now.
Now, did you have any control over any of those events?
I did not. I did not.
I love how those things happen.
I know. So my husband at the time was diagnosed with cancer, stage 4 prostate cancer, and we went through that whole route. We went through the chemo, the radiation, all that. I was by his side the whole time. Now, mind you, I still love him. I'm not in love with him, but he's the father of my children.
Right.
I had 28 years with him. You don't just stop loving somebody, you know, after that much time. But it it ends up that my grandfather, who was 103, um, got suddenly sick and he passed away. But I got to be there. I got to let him come home and take care of him on hospice so he could pass in his own home. And, that was something I couldn't have done if I wasn't sober. Right.
Right.
And I was able to take care of the estate, take care of all the paperwork and all that stuff um, while that was happening. And um, My husband at the time was numbers were good. He was making it through this cancer. Like everything was going fine for him. Um, we started to kind of crumble a little more, and we fought more. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I mean, I'm not drinking. I'm not, why is this still happening? I'm trying to do my part. I'm, trying to keep my side of the street clean, right? And trying to make sure that I'm not doing harm to other people, and he's just tearing me down left and right while I'm trying to go through this grieving process of my grandfather. Well, my grandfather passes and he leaves me some money, and I knew that was my time. I had
Right.
prayed and prayed for God to give me a sign to let me know what I need to do, how I need to proceed. And as sad as I am that my grandpa left, I mean, he was 103.
Right.
He lived a long, long life. I'm so blessed that he did what he did because I don't know where I'd be if if I didn't have his help.
Right.
And that's what I mean by like God just kind of put things in my lap. And I felt like that was the time to move on.
Right.
And so I did. And that was probably the toughest decision I had to do. It really affected my relationship with my kids. That amazing relationship I had with my daughter pretty much dwindled. My oldest, same way. My youngest has stuck with me and stuck through me through all of it. Um, they're all coming back around now. It's been about a year and a half, but they're all coming back around. But it's been difficult, you know. It's been hard.
Right.
And I've moved to a new city, and I have my nephew that I adopted, so I have that. Take care of him, and it's just me and him. And
Right.
none of this would be possible if I wasn't sober. And there's still
Absolutely.
a lot of work to do on me. Still have a lot of things to figure out, and there's still days that are really hard. It's not all rainbows and butterflies just because I get sober. Um,
Right.
but it's still my worst day sober is still better than my best day drunk.
Absolutely.
And it's a process, and I get help. I'm in therapy. I'm working on myself. I'm doing things. I have a strong community that supports me um, in my sobriety, and I just have to remember that even on the hard days, it's still okay.
Right.
And I need to be an example for others, and I try to do that to the best of my ability, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Awesome. I just have a few questions for you and then we'll go and wrap up. So how did you navigate detox and early recovery? How was that for you?
I don't think I knew I was detoxing because, remember, I didn't think I was an alcoholic at the time. So what's funny is those shakes that I got, those different, symptoms that I had, the misery, the cravings. The shakes, I remember thinking, oh, my glucose is low. I just need some sugar. That's what I need. So I get some orange juice.
Yeah.
Fine. But I was also on pain medication at the time. Now I was taking it as prescribed. I was not abusing, the pain pills. So I think that was probably helped me a lot in my detoxing. Um,
Right.
and mind you, I wasn't a daily drinker to where I was drinking, bottles and bottles and bottles a day. So
Right.
my detox was quite as rough as some people's detox might be.
Sure. So describe your first couple of months in sobriety. So what were some of your challenges?
Um, how do I do this without a drink in my hand?
Right.
How do how do I do anything? How do I go to a ball game? How do I barbecue? How do I mow the grass? How do I do all these things that I used to do with drinking?
Right.
And I think that was hard. So I didn't do a lot of stuff in the first few months. I kind of secluded myself. I did try to jump into my sobriety community. And that was hard too, trying to navigate how much time do I spend there versus how much time do I spend with my family, you know?
Right.
And that was a hard thing to kind of figure out too.
Okay. So how did you feel about yourself during your early recovery phases?
I felt like I was a hot mess, like the hot mess express with bombs and fireworks and pizza parties and all of it, because was just I didn't know how to deal with feelings. I didn't know how to navigate these things. I didn't know what to do with all this emotion. Normally I just drank it away, you know. So
Right.
I had to get with my sobriety community to be able to help me realize that this is all normal. This is all okay. This is going to pass. I'm going to learn how to handle life on life's terms. I'm going to learn how to navigate these feelings and navigate these sensations that I'm having.
And
So
it's not the end of the world.
it's not the end of the world, right? I mean, it
It
is
feels like
uh,
that.
at the time, but you live to see another day, and you get to do it all over again, right? And
Absolutely.
that's one thing I know, that when I'm struggling, I know tomorrow's a new day, right? And
Right.
just make it through this day. I got tomorrow.
Right.
And that's hard with somebody who deals with suicide ideation and suicidal thoughts and suicidal tendencies, because my go-to is to just dip out, and drinking made that I lost that inhibition to stop that, right?
Right.
Now that I'm sober, I may get the thoughts, but I can rationalize them now. I can come to terms and ground myself and be okay with it, not doing anything, and knowing that I can just make it through till tomorrow.
And you're not by yourself and you can always reach out to people.
Right, right. And
And
that's why I'm so about my whole story with that, because I want people to know that they're not alone. You know, if you're feeling like that, you're not alone. There are people that have been in that situation and have come out on the other side,
right.
are doing okay. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I'm always very open to talk about it. Anybody needs help or wants to talk, they can always contact me. And yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Um, so what exactly had sparked your journey towards recovery? How did you know it was just that time?
I couldn't do anything else. I was just so broken and
Right.
defeated. And I just was like, well, might as well try this. Nothing working, you know.
I got done showing you people.
Yeah, that works so well. Um, but I didn't have anything left in me.
Right.
I didn't have any more fight left in me. I was exhausted all the time, drained emotionally, mentally, physically, and I just needed to do something different.
For sure. So what advice would you give to someone who's struggling with self-doubt or shame, whether they're in recovery or not?
Um, Man, that's rough, because I still deal with that today, right? Um,
Right.
I journal a lot, and I try to journal not only when I'm sad, but also when I'm happy, so that I can look back at those happy ones when I'm feeling down and be like, you're going to get through this. Um, there's no shame in feeling shameful. It's just an emotion. It's a feeling. It's not going to last forever. Um, you will get through this, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Just keep trying to do the next right thing, and you will make it to the next day, and you could start over. Um, I do a lot of praying, um, do a lot of reaching out, and just know that you are loved, and there are people out there that will help you, and you can't isolate. You just have to reach out and ask for help.
Right. Um, what self-care practices would you recommend to somebody?
Um, definitely learn how to be with yourself. Like, so whether that's, reading, I read, I draw, I journal. Um, I try to learn to be present with myself. And I like to do a lot of service work. I like to do things for other people. Um, that brings me joy in that. It's getting me out of myself. Because sometimes you need to be with yourself, but then sometimes you don't, right? You shouldn't be with yourself all the time. But
Too much of one thing is too much
yeah,
sometimes.
exactly. And we're alcoholics. It's all or nothing, right?
Right.
It's never simple. I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would just find a hobby, find something that you can do that you don't have to think about, that's not work related, that's not effort. It's just something you enjoy, and build a strong sobriety community. Be around like-minded people. The one thing I didn't think I was going to have to do was change my playmates' playgrounds and playthings, and I had to do all three. And it kind of happened on its own. I didn't have to do much. They start to fade away when you're not doing what they're doing. You know,
Right. Yeah,
so that starts to work out on its own.
for sure. Um, so what's something you wish you knew earlier in your recovery?
Hmm. How good sober life is.
Man,
Really,
man,
how good sober life is. Like I said earlier, even my worst day sober is better than my best day drunk.
absolutely.
You know,
Abs-
I have shit storms a day some days, but I'll still take it over that drunk, and that feeling of inadequacy, and and not knowing how to handle anything and do anything. You know,
right. We have options today.
we do, we do. We have choices. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
One last question. So what keeps you motivated and inspired on your ongoing journey of recovery?
Knowing that I don't ever want to go back to where I was, and I don't want to let people down.
Right.
You know, um, but mainly I don't want to let myself down.
For sure.
I would lose everything if I were to go back out. And honestly, I don't know that I have another one in me. I'm not so sure I wouldn't succeed in ending my life if I went back out.
For sure.
So
I-
that alone is enough to keep me sober.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this is all the questions that I have, and I would like to thank you so much for being a part of this. And I thank you, and we'll tune out for now.
All right. Thank you.